Radio. We go ham. It's your boy Tony G. Big Lou. Tuesday night, the Sportsbook, 8 o'clock. Coming off the Super Bowl. But we had the NBA had the NBA dunk contest. We had the All-Star game, doing a little bit different. They had 3 games. You had Team Kenny against Team Chuck, Team Candace against Team Shaq, Team Shaq against Team Chuck. So I said, okay. And Team Shaq beat Team Chuck. So what did you think of the format?
There's been mixed reviews about it. I think it kind of works. I'm not a big fan of it. You know, I'm more old school, especially when it comes to NBA. I'm more old school, so I just would like for these players to just go out there and show a little effort and put on a show for the fans and the people that, you know, pay their money to go see it play. Now, I do understand from the players' perspective, you know, you got playoffs coming, so you gotta save yourself. But this whole thing with this All-Star game, I just don't want it to get to the point where they don't play basketball. You know, because when we watched it, you know, those guys really wanted to win. You know, it's like if it was the East, you really wanted to beat the West. You know, they never, even though they were friends and, you know, it was more of an exhibition type game, that fourth quarter, they was playing for real, because now whoever wins, you know, they get the check, you get the bragging rights. And, you know, it was just the level of competition was a little higher, you know, and it seemed like, you know, there was more passion put into it than it is in the last few years.
Now.
Yeah, you know.
I totally agree with you. Yeah. I liked last year, you know, it became a shooting, you know, they were just shooting threes from half court, and it's All-Star Game. It's supposed to be fun. And then they broke it down into 3. And I get it. It's all about trying to get new audiences. And, but, you know, even like the Pro Bowl with the NFL changed it up a little. You know, kind of like, okay, a little bit different. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you always got to be open-minded to change in any sport. And this is something they're trying. But I think sometimes they try too hard, trying to make everyone, you know what I mean?
They saw a
guy's T-shirt today.
Oh, the Texas A&M, atrocious. Atrocious.
I mean,
sometimes you could try too hard.
But now, how'd you like the dunk contest?
I really, man.
Yeah.
This guy, he's a two-way player. He plays D-League, but he comes up, you know, to the league when needed. I think he should continue to do the dunk contest, because this is NBA eyes on him. It's a bigger check.
Right.
You know, he made more with the dunk contest, winning the dunk contest, than he did NBA salary. So he should continue, and he's a 3-time dunk champion. He should continue to do this. And all of these pros, you guys should get back in it, because no disrespect to McClung, but he's a G Leaguer winning y'all's contest. So I'm just saying, you know, that should give you more motivation to say, hey, we've made it to the top. You know, let's get this thing going. There were chatters, you know, from Ja, you know, from Giannis. I really don't need to see Giannis in the dunk contest, because you're 6 foot, you know, you're 6 foot skyscraper. So what kind of athletic, you know, you had to get real creative with it. But the Jaws, even the Zions, the guys that, you know, are creative with this stuff. I even like to see Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine back in it. But I think these guys can get in there and at least do the dunk contest, you know. But they gotta show more effort. Now I think the game, they toward the end, they were playing a little bit, but I just feel like the passion for it is starting to fade off a little bit, you know.
Oh, I
A
I
lot of
think
people are
that's
worried
been
about their endorsements and all that's going to be there. Got to have passion and love for the game.
I think it's been like that. I think now it's just coming to the fore. We can really see it now.
Hmm.
I think their passion for it. I do like what you just said. They are, they're using the G League the way it was meant to be, getting players to come up, sending them back down. Just like minor league baseball. So
Yeah.
I do like that about the G League is having its purpose. Um, then, like I said, just like minor league, and it kind of promotes the G League wherever they're playing attendance, and the same thing. Um, so I did like that, and yeah, things. The bottom line is this. Um, a lot of times people just make a lot. I mean, when you start making a lot of money, they're just not as interested, and just not as interested as they once were. I mean,
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of like where we're at. But at the same time, in my opinion, sometimes you just say, "Hey, man, that's too bad. We're still doing this." Just
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we're doing. Um, maybe make it a bigger cast. Um, Everybody gets to play 3, 4, 5 minutes. Somebody else get. I
Hmm.
mean, just rotate and make the game fun.
Yeah.
Because
Put
at the end
some
of
put playoff stakes on it. Maybe make the All-Star game, whichever, whoever wins, you got to put some type of incentive on it. Like, you're battling for the seeds for your team but then it becomes, individual
yeah, what we
or
got there?
home
One,
field
two, three.
advantage. Then that way, the East or the West, maybe
Who
the
did
winnings.
baseball? That was baseball that did that. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. That was
Yeah. And
Major
that's
League.
what saved the All-Star, which I think that's just one sport. Baseball is the one sport where tradition will never leave.
Right,
They tweaked it a little bit to get some fans, to get younger and a more diverse fan in the seats, and I think it worked. Because when they put that division gets home field advantage,
right.
in the pennant, and that put emphasis on the game. And we all understand in football why they had to stop.
Yeah,
Even
it
though
was.
they
Yeah.
wasn't like going 100% in the Pro Bowl game, I mean they still were hitting.
Yes. And
So
I totally get that. The flag football's cool. I don't have a problem. I mean, I don't have a
I
problem
don't
with
have a
that.
problem with that, right?
And then the
Because
skills game that was cool. But basketball, um, yeah, I think they need to stick to the traditional. Stop trying to appease and just
right,
keep the tradition. You don't have to. I mean, it doesn't have to appease everybody. But that's just my opinion. I get it. They're trying to get shares. Um,
hmm,
and then we got USFL will be starting, um,
yes,
which has been. Somebody was asking me about that, and I said, if they could get some gamblers on them. I know it sounds crazy, and people think I'm crazy when I say this, but if you could get gamblers gambling on it, all of a sudden you got people that have
oh
a
yeah,
little something on the game, and now they're watching, and that's what you need.
hmm,
You need view. What you don't want at the end of the day, just like the NBA, they need people watching because that's where the
hmm,
money comes from, the sponsors.
right,
The actual arena doesn't really pay for a lot. You know what I mean? It pays for
right,
some, don't get me wrong, but the real money, the big stadiums being built, is coming off the TV deals. So
right,
if people aren't watching, so I get that. But it was all right. Like I said, it was the dunk contest was cool. He won it again. It's cool that he got to
hmm,
make some money. Um,
yeah,
but you would think, like you said, that some of the guys would be like, all right, man, we need to get back in this. And if he
Hmm.
wins, he wins. There's no doubt. If he beats us again, that's fine. But we need to
Right,
get back in it, represent. I mean, if or just say, hey, it's the dunk contest is simply for G leaguers or
right,
whatever. You know what I mean? Or I don't know. Or maybe make the All Star game nothing but G League. I don't know. But I mean, it just um,
right. Make the All-Star game G leaguers and have NBA players coach it, and
something
whoever
do.
win, those guys get money for that.
Yeah, whatever you got to
And the
do.
MVP of the All-Star game gets a shot at a roster spot.
Right, NBA standing. So let me ask you this: We're on the NBA. What are you thinking about the NBA Cup? I don't think it's got the luster that they were hoping. I don't, it's they were trying to get the magic of March Madness, and I just think that was a lot pushing there.
Yeah. And and it's like what do they stand to gain from in tournament, from in season
Five
tournament play?
is the 500,000 extra a player?
I You
It's
may
something
be
like
right,
that.
Tony.
Yeah, it's
It's
something.
something
It's
like
five.
that.
Yeah, it's $500,000. But I'm saying the thing is what takes away from it is like it's the NBA championship that what carries all the weight. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you can win
Yeah.
50 cups, but it doesn't mean anything compared to the
Yeah.
championship because once it's over, it's
Right.
over. Nobody's really talking about it. It's just a way to try to
Right.
keep. I think because that's in December. I think in December, I and I could be wrong. I
Mhm.
think the NBA play. It plays second fiddle to the NFL.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that in
Absolutely.
January.
Even with
Yeah,
our football games on Christmas now, because Thanksgiving belonged to football,
right.
Christmas belonged to the NBA. It was like that for the longest time. But now we're getting NFL games on Christmas.
Yep, good
You
games.
know,
3 games.
great, great games. So
So
now we're it's bleeding into that time of the year for the NBA. So
I
I
agree
don't
that
I
you're
don't
right.
know.
Christmas. Well, everybody's trying to shoot for demographics, and
Right.
they're trying to put a team in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Try to put, they're trying to push these big markets. Um, I'm gonna tell you a market that I'm really surprised that never got a football team um, and that doesn't even have a baseball team is San Antonio. That's a nice
You're
spot.
right. That
That's a
is a
big
nice
city.
spot, big
That's a
city.
city with
They
money.
they
Yeah,
got yeah,
that's
I
a
was about to say they got the money for it, and the fans will show. And
yes,
then you have the
yes,
riverfront, so it's an attraction. So
yeah.
that could bring in some, yeah, that
No,
could bring
but
in some
yeah,
bucks.
but they just they got the Spurs, and that's I mean I know they got some minor league stuff, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. Um, you know, I mean I don't know, it's kind of different. But now we're coming
Yeah.
off the break, the All Star break. It's going to
Hmm.
be interesting. Um, the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, of course, is the Cavaliers, and number one in Western is the Thunder. Um, They're and you got Boston right there behind them, and the Knicks, the Pacers. What's funny is 1, 2, and 3 in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks are 8 games out. When you start going into 5 and 6,
Hmm.
you get into 13, 14, 15 games out. I mean, they're out. I mean, the Cavaliers would have to almost fall apart for them to catch them. Um,
Right.
so there is definitely a gap. There's a big gap there. Now, when you go to the Western Conference, the Lakers are number 5. The Lakers are there, man.
They're right there.
Yeah, they're right
I
there, and the
I just feel like they're not tall enough, they're not long enough to go all the way. I'll give them second round. I'll give them that. Um, because
that's it. It's fun.
OKC is
Yeah,
long. they're young and they got some long guys that can defend the perimeter, that can um defend underneath the glass. It's going to be very difficult for LeBron and Luca to, create something inside when you've got two skyscrapers, that's controlling that part of the paint. So they'll have to be, they'll have to use the perimeter uh, because it was difficult to beat Denver with AD. So how are
Yeah,
they going to go against? How are they going to go up against the Nuggets without AD? They're smaller now. They still haven't solved their big man issue yet. And the trade deadline
right,
has passed. So now, do you pick up? Do you, I don't think Dwight Howard, not knocking his talent, but I don't think he has enough gas in the tank to to deal with Jokic for
right,
a full 7 game series.
right,
Now
and that's
maybe, yeah, maybe a JaVale, maybe JaVale McGee, maybe I'm puzzled on how they're going to solve their big man issues, especially when they get later in the playoffs. First round, I think they could beat them. I think they could beat the whatever seed team if they make it to the playoffs. Whatever seed they play against in the first round, I think they can get them. It's just after that first round, that's when it's going to get difficult because now you're running into, Ant-Man and his squad.
right.
You running into Jokic and his squad. You running, then you got OKC with two bigs. So how do you
Yeah,
get around it?
and yeah, you had brought that up last year about I think it was the Lakers. Like, hey, they can win a game. I don't think they might win two games, but it's the series. That's the
Hmm.
on any night they could beat anybody. They got enough talent, but can they beat
Right.
them 4 out of 7 games? And that's what, yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's what you brought, and that was something that we had talked about last year. Um, in some kind of way, the Clippers are hanging in there. They're gonna go. I mean, they're it may be. Um, Well, it's still early though, because even the Mavs are
Hmm.
still in it. Every actually, the 7 through 10 are all really kind of. It's all close with the Clippers,
Yeah.
and they're all close enough to where somebody could make somewhat of a move, and then I kind of I mean, even though they're not very much over uh, over 500, it's kind of cool to see Detroit in the top six, barely, but
Hmm.
because Detroit hasn't had it's been a while, and I think it's good
Yes.
to see some of the older franchises that used to be dominant to play a factor and not be kind
Right.
of forgotten about and be irrelevant. And just like Orlando's 7, it's good to see
Hmm.
them. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
because it seems like they've been plugging and playing. They've been plugging and playing for like the last 5 to 6 seasons. It's like they've
yeah,
been drafting and plugging, and they'll get a good nucleus together, and then
yeah,
somebody go in free agency or they'll make a trade, just to stay. I guess at a certain number, but it's good too. I agree. It's good to see the Detroits, the Orlandos, to see those guys, back in contention. And I don't, see a lot or hear a lot about the Atlanta Hawks, but they're right there at the 8th seed.
yeah.
But
They're right there in the AC. Um,
so yeah, it's a good thing to see those. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to see those teams that we grew up with that were, making noise back when we were kids. To see
yeah,
them relevant again in the playoffs, because it's needed for the NBA.
yeah. I think it's huge. And then you got like the Wizards. They need to do something to make themselves relevant again. I mean,
Hmm.
they've just hasn't done well. And
No.
when was the last time Charlotte was good?
Oh
I
my
mean,
goodness.
yeah, I
It's
mean, you could,
it's way too long.
yeah. And when was the last time they were good 2 or 3 seasons in a row?
We'll have to go all the way back to what, Larry Johnson, Lonzo
Yeah.
Mourning, that that era,
And
that
that was
era
a
of
long
play.
time ago. That's,
It
you
was
know
a
what I mean?
long time
It's like,
ago.
yeah. But I think, I mean, you know, like the NFL is trying to make it parallel that everyone has,
Hmm.
you know, has some good opportunities. And I think for the most part, they have. They've, you know,
Hmm.
I mean, there's still, I think one of the biggest things that's hurting the NFL with parity, um, it ain't the players, it's the coaching and the management. We have seen terrible coaching and terrible management, wasted
Hmm.
talent, and that's to me that's the bigger flop than when players come in the league and they go, oh, that was a big flop. You know, I used to
Right.
be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I'm looking at the management going, oh, you're terrible. You know what I mean? Bad calls. Um, and like I
Yeah, these
said, you
people don't.
know, no, go ahead.
No, I was about to concur what you were saying. Some of these guys that are in upper management, and instead of looking for guys that have the resume to do things, it feels like it's a family or a buddy buddy system.
Yeah,
And a lot of people get put in positions that are really not qualified to do the position. It's just the fact that, they get there and then you hire someone that knows how to do your job and you
right.
get the credit for it.
Well,
But,
like this year in the NFL, there was a lot of, and the only reason why there was a lot on Saquon Barkley and Derrick
mhm,
Henry. Here's the deal. He said all those things, and we heard what he said about cutting, say, but they were looking at it from a financial thing, and I'm
mhm,
not defending him, but at the end of the day, you never know. You don't know. And then
mhm,
uh, and then the Titans, that's what happens with players later in their careers. They move around to other teams. Very few stay to the very end. Some do, but a lot of times they move around. And Derrick Henry, in all respect, he's an older running back, probably near the end of his career. So they made a
yeah,
move to cut him. And the Ravens were able to get him cheaply, comparatively speaking, and they
mhm,
did a good. You know, that's just how. I mean, we got Von Miller. It
yeah,
just people move around, and you hope to get one more year out of them. And
mhm,
but you know, did the Giants handle that wrong? They've handled a bunch of stuff wrong, and it's not. Yeah, it's not. Um, and they didn't want to pay Saquon, and I get it. I mean, it turned out to
yeah,
be a bad. But here's the other thing: is they did Saquon the best thing ever. He got a Super Bowl ring.
yes.
He was not going to get a Super Bowl ring with the Giants. So
No,
really
no, he wasn't.
he needs to send them a bottle of scotch. Thanks for the trade. I mean, really,
Thanks.
I mean,
You
they
know,
did him the
thank
best
you.
favor ever
Hmm.
by getting rid of it. Because then there's a lot of guys that they just get wasted away over here. You know, there's so many, especially running backs. There's been so many great
Yeah,
running backs that, you know, Barry Sanders, I mean, on and on and on. They never won a Super Bowl. They ran for all
right.
kind of yards. So really, in reality, they did him a huge favor. But yeah,
Hmm.
I don't, you know, and you know, you look at the Jets making the contract for Rodgers, going back to management. We'll talk about that when we get back from break. There's a lot of NFL news, but a lot of these teams, like I said, they have poor management. Um,
Hmm.
and you know, more and more is coming out about Dallas making the trade, what they were really thinking. You know, as time goes on, um, and you know, in some ways it was a bad trade. You know, I mean, if but in some ways it was a good trade if AD could stay healthy. And there's a
Right.
lot of different aspects. Right now, the Lakers they're the ones getting the gat. They're the ones benefit from the trade
Hmm.
right off the top. Um,
Right.
but if AD can get healthy, and they could just kind of gel together, they can make a little run too. But the Lakers look
They
like
could
they,
be some contenders. I
yeah,
mean, if
yeah, they,
AD can sustain his health. You know, and
yes,
things happen. This is a reoccurring injury, something, and you know, when you have an abdominal strain or an abdominal tear, you know,
right,
it's just like your leg muscle, or you know, it's a muscle that takes time to, you know, fully heal.
right, right. No, no, no. That's you're 100%. I mean,
So you know, not because
that
I know we call them, you know, I'm included with that. You know, I've been, uh, I I've put the street clothes guy. I've put that narrative out there myself because it seemed like, okay, you know, you're in LA. You work with LeBron every day. There's nothing that you can pick up from this guy that can help you stay healthy. But it's the
right,
individual. It's how the individual is built and the mindset of the individual. So, you know, a lot of people make investments. LeBron invests in his health and in his health, and that's why he's 40 plus, you know, playing like he's still in his 30s because
right,
of the
right, right,
investment that he made in himself.
right.
But
Abs-
but
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Um, all righty. All right. So when we get back, we still got some time, but we get back where there's a lot going on in the NFL. A lot of free agencies. There's going to be a lot of moving, shaking
Hmm.
in the next 90 days. That's for sure. Um,
Absolutely.
a lot of people return. And remember, like I said, if you want to reach out to us, Facebook, we have the sportsbook. We have the sportsbook Facebook page. Uh, you can reach out us there. You can reach out at KM Radio. Anything, like I said, anything from advertising, having an event, us hosting an event, or someone else, or basically if you need if someone from KM Radio, whatever you need, you can hit it up. There's 24 hours a day of great programming. There's a day show. There's us. A lot of great music. There's a drive time. Got a drive time jock. So hey, there's a lot of great stuff on KM Radio and affiliated, and do a lot of local events. All right. So when we get back, we're going to talk about NFL. Maybe we can talk about a little hockey, maybe. And we also have spring training going on for the Major League Baseball. So, all right, you guys stay tuned right here Tuesday night. The Sportsbook, KM Radio, Tony G, Big Lou on KM Radio, where we go.
Yeah.
KM Radio, we go ham. It's your boy Tony G, Big Lou. Tony G, Big Lou. Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. The Sportsbook. For tuning back in, we covered the NBA Allstar game, the dunk competition. This time of year, gambling, we have college basketball, which is huge. We had the number one seed play the number two seed this weekend, and the number one seed won. Alabama just wasn't enough. Auburn beat Alabama. A lot of people picked Alabama. Those are two teams that I think are going to go far in the
Hmm.
in the in the tournament. There's a couple other we'll cover in a couple weeks um, that I think are going to make some decent runs. So, all right, let's go to NFL. Let's go to the NFL news. What's going on with the Saints? Anything good?
Um, the Saints are putting their coaching staff together.
Okay.
Kellen Moore did accept the head coaching job. He brought some guys over with him. They are scheduled to interview the running back coach from Philadelphia as the offensive coordinator.
Okay.
He's going to interview for that job. So they're slowly they're slowly building it together, but the Saints are $55 million over in the cap.
55.
So
Okay.
so they need to just they need to have a sell off. They need to have a yard sale.
Okay.
because a lot of their free agencies, a lot of their free agents that they're going to try to re-sign, you know, those guys are going to cost a little penny because they've been there. Maybe they can restructure some contracts or whatever, but it's going to be very hard to retain a lot of their players, including the quarterback Derek Carr, which, uh, from my understanding, has no intentions on taking the discount. Um, Me personally, I'm not a fan of a player taking a discount because the owners have the money. But on the other hand, I also know that there's only so much money to go around on
Correct.
that side of things because
Correct.
you pay first of all, you pay 53 millionaires that start.
Right.
then, and then you got guys that play behind them that you have to pay. So,
Right.
just to give people a perspective, because I think a lot of people see owners as just, tycoons with a lot of money to throw away. But just like every business, there has to be a budget.
Right.
So, you got to do what's for the best interest of your team and your company.
Right.
And the best thing is for them to start over. Everything is new. Coach is new. Coaching staff is new.
Yeah.
Um, Bring someone in that can work with Spencer Rattler. I'm not a fan of bringing a running back coach in as an offensive coordinator when you have a potential starter in Rattler. He's a potential starter. A lot of teams his play. He just need the right coaching.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of that, but I could just have to wait and see. But yeah, with the Saints, they're still trying to get their staff together. He has some guys in mind that he wants on his team. So we're gonna wait on that, and then I guess once they get the staff together, they'll try to figure this roster out because I've tried with the little knowledge that I have of running a NFL team, but I've tried to figure it out. Like, what do you do when you have all these players? Most of them are old, some of them coming back off of injury, but you're in cap misery. So the only thing that you can do is just sell off, start over. That's the
I
best thing
think.
you can do.
I think. I think one thing that the NFL, the teams that are winning the Super Bowls, they're young and they're doing a lot of 1 year. Like they're picking up specialty players for 1 year, and then we'll go from
Hmm.
there. Kind of following the Bill Belichick deal. Kind of like
Yeah,
we got a core group. We see some free agency. Let's talk to them. And then when you're winning, a lot of times people are more apt to drink the Kool Aid, as they say, and go, okay,
right.
I'll come over here for this. Um, and then you have other players. You got other players. I get it. Everybody wants the bag. And, a lot of times in the NFL, when people don't realize when they throw around money, just always remember this. They're talking about Dak Prescott. He got $60 million a year. I'm keeping in content. He really he's losing 30 off the top in taxes.
Yeah,
Believe that.
that's
So still a
yeah,
lot of money. Don't get me
yeah.
wrong. But just remember that when a player says, "Hey, they're getting 10, they're really probably getting 5
You're
because
getting
of the
five.
because the tax
Yeah,
because of the way the taxes are.
yeah.
Everywhere they play, they get taxed. Da, da, da,
Hmm.
da, da, da. It's just
Yeah,
it's a lot. So
and a lot. Yeah.
that being and
Now I
that being
didn't know
said,
that part, Tony. I just learned that the
oh, for
NFL
real.
players get taxed everywhere they go. Like if they get traded to another team,
Yeah,
and you got a
I don't,
house here, so you
yeah,
got to pay property taxes on this house and the house that you're going to get.
yeah. It's kind of they really stick them. What I mean, they make the money, but they definitely pay the price. I just think when it comes to uh, it ain't just about the Saints. I mean, I think you're right. I think you just start going. Everybody, we need a new nucleus. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and you may think I'm crazy, and now's the time to go. Hey, what can we get for Kamara?
Yeah. I
I mean,
mean,
you get how many draft choices
it
can we get?
hurts. Yeah,
No,
I
it
mean,
hurts.
it hurts,
There's
but you
no
have
doubt.
no choice. You have no
But you gotta
choice.
you got because all you're doing is you're going to hold on to a great player, and he ain't going to, I mean, you're not going to give him any tools to do anything, but you don't want to give him up. And I
Right.
respect that. But I remember a few years ago when Miami gave up everything and they took in all
Hmm.
these players. Now they mishandled it, but I was like, wow, they got a lot of draft choices, and it was there. I don't know. It was just I felt the same thing about Zeke. Before they signed him, they should have dumped him. Just say,
Yeah.
hey, what can we get for you? Oh, you'll give us that? And try to
Hmm.
try to coach up, and I get it, and just like things happen for weird reasons, and I'm not being all right. So you take Diggs. Buffalo got away from Diggs. He's coming
Hmm.
off an ACL injury. He's going to be 32. Well, what do you think's
Yeah.
going to happen? You know what I mean? He's in, let me see, that's Houston, correct? That is Houston.
Hmm.
So you go to Houston. So he's going to be free agent. So I mean, who wants him? Somebody will take him, but they're not going to take him at what he thinks he's worth. That's
Right.
like uh, um, OBJ or um,
Cheetah.
uh, not Cheetah.
Uh,
The what's his name from that played for the New York Giants that caught the one-handed LB
Odell
um,
Beckham.
Odell Beckham. He got
One
hurt.
year deals
Well,
for like what? The last 4, 5 seasons he's been on 1 year deals, but he gets
and
hurt.
yes, and
He
where have you
can't take
heard?
the
I mean,
risk.
yeah,
Yeah.
he hasn't played for Baltimore. He hasn't played. He's moved around. He's got money, but he hasn't. I mean, that's why like, hey, nobody wants to make a commitment. Maybe we get out a little bit. You got Cooper Cup. You got Cup
Hmm.
coming from the Rams. He's another great wide receiver. Little, but a little bit of health would make a great number two or three.
Oh,
Especially
absolutely.
yeah, I mean there's a lot of um there's going to be a lot of people moving around. It's going to be interesting to see who Kansas City is going to be able to keep, who may
Hmm.
retire. There's rumors of Kelsey retiring. I mean, Kelsey's in his 13th year or whatever, 12,
Hmm.
whatever it is. He's been there for a minute. I mean, and he
Yeah, and the
got three
Chiefs gave
Super
him a
Bowls.
right. The Chiefs gave him a deadline of March 14th to decide what he's going to do. Because that means that either they're looking at Noah Gray stepping up and they drafting
Right,
someone, or they got their eyes on somebody for them to put a
right.
deadline on them like that. I guess they don't want to be held hostage, and they don't want to miss out on a possible replacement for him. But yeah,
Right.
they given him till March 14th to decide if he's coming back or if he's going to retire.
And
But
that's only fair because they got some parts
mhm.
they got to put together. And then you got another wide receiver, T Higgins. He's he'll
Oh,
he may go. They may hit him with a franchise tag, for 1 year. But I
hmm.
don't know. Um, I know he wants a long-term deal. Um, but then you got Joe Burrow, and I know Burrow has
Yeah,
made a bunch
Burrow.
of comments. He's not trying to let go of T Higgins. He's not letting any great player leave the building. Is what he's actually quoted saying. But there's a lot of
Right,
people. And then you got where's Carr? What's happening to Carr? Where's Wilson going? There's a lot
right.
of questions, and there's a lot of money
Yeah.
floating around. Um, and I think when you go back to the Saints, you got a new coach coming in. He doesn't want Carr. Not that there's
He
anything
hasn't
wrong.
committed to him. He's
No,
been
I mean
asked
they.
about him, and he did the right thing. He says we're going to assess what we have. I think he's still a good player. He talked nice about him, and
Oh
we're going to
yeah,
assess
yeah.
what we have. We're going to doing the PC job that he's supposed to do.
Mhm.
Now, honestly, I don't think Carr is his pick. I don't think Carr his guy. You
No,
got
no,
tape on him. You got tape on him. You've seen, you know, from you would think, okay, you went we give you a pass for the Raiders.
Right.
We give you a pass for that. But you come to a team that had Clint Kubiak, West Coast offensive coordinator. You've got weapons in Olave, Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill. You had a Pro Bowl defense. So you went to a team that was a lot better than the team you came from, but we're still seeing the same stats. You know.
Yeah.
So and you still, you had a couple of good games, and but you're
Couple. Yeah.
just huh, I guess I consider him, I guess, a good quarterback. And I'm squinching my eyes saying that. That's because I'm a Saints fan, ladies and gentlemen. Sports Armor,
Yeah.
y'all gotta forgive me. I'm biased, but he's good. I'll give him good. I'll give him good. He's a good quarterback. Not great. You're not gonna go far with him. You're gonna win some games. If everything is perfect, you're gonna win some games, but don't expect, to get to the next level, the playoffs. I don't think it's in them unless you just have a Pro Bowl football team, and then you still can't turn the ball over.
Yeah. I mean, it just like I said, I thought he was going to do a lot better. I mean, we talked about that when he
I did
first
too.
came. I said, man,
Right.
I don't know. He had some seasons at Oakland and or the Raiders, and it just hasn't. It just wasn't a good fit. And you got a new head coach, and very seldom do they like to keep the old quarterback, unless it's
Yeah.
some yeah. That's the
Unless you were
so
just
be
outstanding. Yeah.
yeah. Unless it was something that was like, wow, we got to and then you got Nick Chubb from Cleveland. He's going to be a free agent. There might be some people on him. There's a
Yep.
bunch of
Miles Garrett
uh,
wants out of Cleveland.
yeah.
He
Miles
wants
Garrett wants
out.
out. Yeah, and they got a left tackle, EJ Moore. That's going to be another free agent. There's a lot of teams looking for left tackles. Um,
Especially KC.
yes, 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 yes. Is worth the step price to cut. So they're saying. So now you're looking using franchise tag on quarterback. So basically, it looks like Pittsburgh's probably not going to keep Russell or Justin Fields.
Or
Or they or
there
they
was
don't want to put
talk.
they don't want to put a franchise tag on them. How about that?
Okay. There was talk out there about them trying to get Sunshine.
I heard that. Um, I heard that. But it never went any further. It seemed it never got
Yeah.
any.
So that was probably some smoke and mirrors, but it was circling around for a couple of days, for about 48 hours. They was
Right.
stirring the pot on that. So I'm guessing that the new coach and GM are probably gonna get in that draft. I don't know when the Jaguars pick, but I
Right.
think they want to get a quarterback out of that draft. But
And try to start from there,
yeah, and
which
try,
makes
and build from there, which, I just think that
which makes a lot of sense.
yeah, I just think that I think Trevor Lawrence got dealt a bad deal. I think they should have gave Doug Peterson some time to try to right that ship, because they got to think about how many OCs and head coaches that he went through before Doug Peterson got there.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
You
You
know,
got a very good
so
that's yeah, and there was times where I thought he was in a good situation, and then there was times I was like, wait a minute, I thought it just wasn't consistent. Um, and without the a good supporting cast, they just can't. I mean, just isn't much. And that's then you go back to quarterbacks, and then you got the Minnesota deal with Sam
mhm,
Darnold. Um, I don't know what they're going to do there. A lot of people were like, "Oh, the real Sam." I mean, the last two games he struggled. He had
yeah,
14 games. I mean, I think he did good. I mean, the team itself had problems. It wasn't all him,
mhm,
but there's people. That's a guy that came from a bad situation that for 14 weeks was it was an. I mean, was just killing it. Then he
Mhm.
ran into some problems later in the season, last two games. But I know they're trying to figure out. They got JJ McCarthy. That's their, but he was hurt. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
now I don't know. I think if Sam would have finished just would have had some better games than the last two that he had. Probably would have been maybe there would have been a bunch of people willing to try. I mean, he's still going to get paid. I mean, somebody's going to give him 10 million a year.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to be backup or something. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know if he's going to sign. Um, don't know if he's going to sign. A mega deal. Um,
Right.
I like him to end up somewhere. We both
I do
rooted
too.
for him. Yeah, because I just felt like he was in such a bad he was in such a bad place, and the Jets, that it was terrible, and there was no
Mhm.
way he was going to be um no way it was going to be a good situation. And those quarterbacks, they go from being pummeled, and they kind of float around the league, and it's hard for them to ever get a ever find a home again. I hate to make it sound like that, but it kind of is.
Mhm.
um
Yeah.
and there's the teams that Carolina got to rebuild, right?
Mhm.
um
Yeah. Yeah. They got to rebuild.
Arizona Cardinals got to figure out what they want to do with their quarterback. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, he had a good year. They had a pretty decent year, but they haven't been anything since that one time they went 10-4. Um,
Right. And this year is the year for them to start making some moves because they got plenty of cap space. They got
right,
some cap
right.
space to make
Yeah, they
some
got
moves to bring some players in there. So they really need to make up their mind with what they want to do with their quarterback.
right, right,
Because
right.
they can sign some key free agents to come play in Arizona, warm weather. And I think they got a
Yeah,
dome. Yeah, they got a dome. So you're playing in the dome, it's warm weather, NFC West. So yeah,
and then
they
and the,
really need to do some work over there.
yeah, they had. I mean, they were when they had Derrick Henry a few years ago. They were contenders. I mean, they were the Titans were. Um, So, well, that we were talking about, my bad. We were actually talking about Carolina. It's probably
Mhm.
been 10 years since they were really a contender. When they went to the Super Bowl, they were a contender.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
And they got beat
Cam.
with Cam Newton.
Hmm.
And then you got, the San Francisco, they got a lot of decisions. They got, they need to extend Brock Purdy's contract or pay him. You got
Hmm.
George Kittle. I mean, there's a Dre Greenlaw, Charvis Ward. Um, there are a lot of guys. They got some work to do over there. Keeping everybody
Hmm.
signed. They've been lucky because they got They're not paying a quarterback really. You know what I mean?
No.
They're not paying. They're not paying. They've been to the Super Bowl on a on a budget. You know what I mean? I mean
Hmm.
that's. I mean they've the last couple of years. So now they got to decide. And there was rumors that they were going to look, and I don't know. I mean, Purdy's done a pretty good job to me, but there's always going to be doubters. Did he make a mistake? Is he the, I get it, but they're going to have to pay somebody some money if they want to continue. Um, what do you think about the keep, about Carroll being the coach at, Las Vegas? What do you think about Pete
Uh,
Carroll?
I think uh, I think Pete could work. Pete's one of those coaches that um, regardless where he goes, he just has that aura where you'll go through a brick wall for him. He really
Yeah,
knows how to motivate guys, get the best out of guys. He has a connection with USC and a couple of other schools to where he can scout young talent and bring it in because the organization needs total rehaul or overhaul, if you will. And I'm pretty sure that him and Tom have sat down and kind of formulated a game plan of what to do. Now, and now a lot of people was trying to send Russ out there. They thought, well, okay, he's in Vegas now. He'll bring Russ out just to establish, some type of culture, and then they'll draft a quarterback have and do what they tried to do in Pittsburgh with Justin Fields and Russ. But I don't think Pete wants Russ back because Russ was trying to get Pete out of Seattle
Right. I don't think it. Yeah.
before the trade, before he
Yeah.
went to Denver. So I don't think he wants Russ back. He knows that Russ is not the same quarterback anymore. I think they're going to get somebody out of the draft. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to even try to get Shador to the Raiders because he's a TB12 athlete,
Yep.
so he's worked with Brady. Uh, Pete Carroll, he's that type of coach like his father is.
Right.
That's going to coach him and demand the best out of him. So I wouldn't be surprised, but there's a lot of teams out there that's gunning, that's gunning for Sador. The experts think that Cam Ward is going to go before him, but there's a lot of talk about Shador and his ability to lead a team and and his attributes on the field.
The
But I think Pete will work. If Jim
so
can work, he can work.
so he was saying what basically what they were saying was they know Pete was like they hired Pete. It's not for 10 years. That's going to be a
No.
2 to 3 years. Get him going in the right direction. Let's get somebody. Let's work with them. Let's work with you and getting somebody to predecess you and get us
Mm-hmm.
going in the right in the right in the right thing. And the thing with the problem I have with Dion is they're pulling the where they want to go, where they don't want to go. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
there's certain
Yeah.
right, and I get that and I respect that. Manny did it, I get it, but the places that need you or can pick you, those are the one. I mean, the people that are winning, they're not going to pick you. Kansas City's not going to go. They're already winning. Philadelphia doesn't need him. I know there's plenty of places that do need him, but though I mean,
Mm-hmm.
those are at the bottom of the barrel.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's not
It's
like
always going to be a bad team you go to.
yeah, you
Yeah,
don't
you're
get
the
to
number
go.
one. You're top.
Yeah,
You If you're in the top three, just know that you're going to a bad team. It's just the way it
yeah. Now
is. That's just how it
and
works.
there's better situations, and I could see where Las Vegas could be a good situation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I could see that. And maybe even the Titans, depending on what they get for them. But at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, um, now you look at Washington, just happened to, first year quarterback, did well. Joe Burrow
Mm-hmm.
went to, so, because there's a lot of pressure on it and you're going to take a beating,
Mm-hmm.
but one thing about Joe Burrow is he kind of went to a decent spot because they had
Yeah.
just Andy Dalton, you know what I mean? So they weren't totally terrible. Um, the Raiders may be bad. They're bad. Um, they got some hope, but they're bad. The Titans are bad. Carolina's bad. I mean, those are some
Mm-hmm.
teams that will have the access to get him, but anybody else that's winning, they're not gonna, because he's gonna want money. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I hope he does well. I hope he lives up to the I hope he lives up to the hype because I mean, at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, everybody's watching. You know what I mean? Everybody's watching, which is a good and bad thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, and there's a lot of people trying to trying to get quarterbacks out of the draft so you can get them a little bit cheaper, give you a couple years on that rookie deal to put something together. Um, so you can put a team around them so they're not terrible. Uh,
Right.
and the Jets, but the Jets until they change their culture is just a bad spot. It's
Right.
just a bad. I mean, they 2 years ago they had a decent. They were kind of strutting a little bit more. The coach was strutting like he had won something. It was like you ain't won nothing yet, man. You need to
No, you hadn't did anything yet.
let's calm down. Yeah, yeah. You won some
Yeah.
games. You're off. You know what I'm saying? Playoffs, but let's win a division or something. And then we can. And it all came faltering down. Got rid of him, Salas. And then this
He
year
went
they
back
were,
to he went back to San Francisco as the DC, by the way.
yep,
Yeah, so he's
sure
back in
did.
San Fran. Hmm.
So I'm sure that was a little pill to swallow with that
Oh
ego,
yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, stuff happens. But and it'll be interesting to see what goes on with Tua. You know what I mean? They're like,
Yes.
what
Yes.
are they gonna do with Tua? I get it. He has, I mean, there's serious questions around him with his injuries, his his um his
Concussion.
concussions. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some he's taken some. I mean, the last 2 years he's taken hits where people were saying you need to retire. That's scary that it's
Right.
just one
That's
one
scary
hit
to say that.
away. Yeah, to go, oh, we're gonna pay this guy. Oh my God, he's got to retire. Um, so it'd be interesting to see, if he goes, if they cut him. But hey,
Right.
enjoy this another week, man. Stay tuned with us. KM Radio every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. Like you said, reach out to us at KM Radio on Facebook or the Sports Book. All right, guys, thank you very much. Remember, tune in every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. Tony G, Big Lou, right here on KM Radio, where we go ham.
Hell.